this, so I'm going to try to start with the full name of the organization that I represent. It is, we go by 4CORE, which is an acronym, and it's the Four Corners Office for Resource Efficiency. And we are out of Durango, Colorado, and I love your owl at Ajax. It's beautiful. I'm gonna steal your owl idea. So I'm super just honored to be a part of this and to be able to share all the things that I've learned. Hopefully everybody on this call, you can glean something out of it, if not everything, and she's recording it. So if I go too fast or if you have questions or, whoa, my gosh, I don't know what that means, put it in the chat, or, I will, at the end, I'll have my contact info so you could send it directly to me. So I will start with sharing my screen. And I practiced this yesterday and did it a lot quicker. So we'll see how it goes. So first of all, make sure, whoops, going the wrong way, hang on. That went way the wrong way. Let's start at the beginning. Awesome. Okay, so I am the Green Business Program Manager for 4CORE. So we do a certification process for businesses. And we have about 20 businesses that are involved. This is a very new program. It's been going on for about 3 years. And we just signed up the school district. They might do 5 schools. They might do 8 schools. So that's going to be a lot this year. And we are in the process of doing a waste audit program for restaurants. So part of it was funded by a grant. So part of it is that they do the waste audits, but then they also do the Green Business Certification Program. So that will bring us to a little over 30 businesses as of the end of this year. But all of them have to go through an assessment, and there are 14 categories in our assessment, and I have boiled it down to these 7. And I combined some, and I'll just get through them. And remember, questions, go for it. So energy and climate is what people ask about first. And there's, first of all, the stuff that's easy to do that just takes some of your time. Policies are a big one. You can just go into your policies and change some stuff. And there's a lot of policy items that are kind of incorporated in the overall presentation. But anyway, I've got a lot of points that they can get with just changing their policies. Are your operations energy efficient? This picture on the left is a Durango Outdoor Exchange, which does consignment for winter gear. And so they make sure that no one has to drop off their stuff and then leave and then come back a few days later to find out whether or not they can consign it. It is a one-stop shop. You walk in, you have your boots, they say yes or no right there. So you're not wasting energy and gas actually going back and forth. Our other picture on here is climate related. What are your scope 1 emissions? Do you have actual nitrous oxide from your vehicles or your fleet? Or do you have a natural gas that you're burning in a furnace that is heating your facility? Those are 2 examples of scope 1 emissions. So some things are really just phone calls, and maybe you could do this online, but here in Durango, you have to make phone calls to find out, are your shippers using electric vehicles? Can you make sure that everything that you're getting shipped to your facility is coming in the cleanest possible transportation? Is your electricity that you're using, your power in your facility, actually coming from renewable energy sources? Here we use LPEA, which is La Plata Electric Association. They have a way that you can make sure you're using a renewable portfolio, but you have to call them and specifically, the authorized account holder has to call and specifically request that. And of course, the renewable sources may be wind, water, hydro, it could be a mix of things. Now, when it comes down to like projects, it's still stuff that doesn't cost money, but it might take some time. Calculating your carbon footprint, there's a whole bunch of online resources for calculating your carbon footprint at this point. And it's really figuring out what energy you use in different ways and then putting it all together. And you usually use about, you look at your last 12 months of utility bills and how many miles you covered in your vehicles and stuff like that for the last year. This bottom right picture really talks about climate mitigation strategies. Wildfire is our biggest climate risk here in Colorado. In other places, it's different. I used to live in New Orleans, it was floods. So how can your business actually think about the climate risks and then develop mitigation strategies, just a few of them that your business could enact? Maybe it's putting together like a wildfire protection manual or stuff that you can bring up to the roof if there's ever a wildfire in your area, or an evacuation procedure. Okay, there's stuff in our region that you can get rebates for, and in every region it's different, but it's usually through your local utility. Your city or your municipality may have rebates or incentives. They're all out there. So it's a little bit of research sometimes to figure out what they are, but there may be a partner like Forecore in your region that has information about rebates. Here any business that's part of our Green Business Certification Program is eligible for rebates through the city of Durango. And then our utility, LPEA, helps pay back or at least offset the cost for energy audits and other energy efficiency upgrades like heat pumps and changing out your water heater and stuff like that. Now, getting an energy audit, if you haven't had one, there's a lot of incentives out there for them, and they're really useful because number one, you get a third party, someone who's an expert, to come in and really look at your facility and see what are the holes, literally. How is it not sealed appropriately, not insulated maybe to the highest level it could be, and then what's your energy use, and how could you actually bring that use down, and how much would it save you in terms of funding money? And that particular audit could be helpful for applying for grants and financing. Now, once you go big, your auditor is going to tell you, okay, these are possibly the appropriate next steps for you to go into renewable energy source on site, or working something differently. So geothermal is pretty expensive, but for larger facilities, it's the way to go because it utilizes the Earth's warmer temperatures or cooler temperatures, depending on the time of year. And there's money out there for geothermal projects. You could work with heat pumps, which is really taking air source heat pumps, really takes ambient air outside and transfers it into the inside of your building. And then of course you could go solar, and there's multiple programs in every region for solar at this point. So that's energy and climate. Once you start talking about materials, you have to think about what is the life cycle of every raw material that comes into my business. Am I getting them from local sources? Are they coming literally from the local area? If I'm getting it from a local source, is my money, my business's money, paying for that material? is that going to help the local economy? That's kind of part of the local issue. And then, is it organically produced? What is it made from? Is it renewable? Is it recycled materials? And where does it go at the end of its life? I could go really crazy on this because this is my area of passion. But here in Durango, we have a compost service that helps restaurants and anyone else to take their food scraps and turn them into compost, a soil amendment that is great for anyone's garden. And then how are you just reducing your materials? How are you streamlining your materials so you're not paying for stuff that's going to end up going in the garbage? Now, here's some other ideas for thinking about waste reduction strategies. First of all, there's simple ones. Get all your hazardous waste, keep it in a box, put it up high, hang on to it till hazardous waste day. Then if something happens, that waste is not hurting anybody, it's not contaminating your workspace or anything like that. Some things involve a little bit of planning. Maybe you have to go buy some bins. Maybe you need to make up some signage. Maybe you need to like convince your staff that this is important and you want to do it, and it's now just part of your system. And you have to remind them of that when they're walking towards the dumpster. And then there's some stuff that you might need to do that does have a little bit of cost. And an example of it is buying compostable packaging. Be careful with that because compostable packaging is a gray area, and I could talk more about that. Oops, that's not what we want to do. When we're talking about transportation and our vehicles, I'm in the process of researching my future electric vehicle. So I know more today than I did last week. But essentially, think about how you're going to, over time, switch to an electric fleet. And what are the ways that you can make sure that that is reliable? Meaning you might want to also consider putting an EV charger at your facility, which there's incentives for those also. Actually, LPEA here in Durango is kind of giving them away to businesses and homeowners that have the space. You can, before you do that, you can start consolidating your shipments. Is there some other business that's nearby that also orders the same thing? How can you work together so that only one truck is coming and the goods are going to two different places? And we're doing that here in Durango. It's very exciting. And then making sure that your suppliers and your shippers, are working with electric vehicles. And then of course, commuting. You can encourage your staff to use alternative transportation. In Durango, there's an app that the city of Durango is encouraging everybody to use, where you log all of your alternative transportation. Like when you carpool, or if you go on your bike or you walk somewhere, you can log it. And then you can actually have contests with other people that you don't even know. It's really kind of cool. And then we have like walk and bike and roll to work and school days, which kind of is an outreach education effort. We have a great public transportation system here. It's trolleys that aren't actually trolleys. They're on wheels, but they're fun to use, and we have a great system. Any one of you guys can go on to the League of American Bicyclists and become a bicycle-friendly business, and then they market your business through their networks. And that's pretty cool. And then you find out like what to do to be a bicycle-friendly business. Okay. Next up is food. So, I mean, we all know that our best bet for reducing the energy embedded in our food is to make sure that it's being grown locally. So any restaurant or grocery store that's working with local farms, and specifically local farms that are using regenerative practices and are being good to the soil, being good to it to their livestock. Happy cows make happy milk, all that stuff makes sense. And we've got, this is a farm that sells cheese. This is on this, the best goat cheese I've ever had. And then we have restaurants that also, work hard to make sure that, over 50% of their produce comes from local suppliers. Make sure your suppliers, especially if they're not local, are certified by third-party certification bodies, such as the Marine Stewardship Council, or this is Demeter Biodynamic, which is related to produce. So, and also make sure that if you are producing food goods, that you're working with compostable packaging and packaging that is actually compostable in a local facility. So we have a local facility, Table to Farm Compost. There are only a few compostable packaging outfits where the stuff is actually compostable. And there's a new law in Colorado about that too, making sure that if a product says it's compostable, it actually is. Okay, next, thinking about cleaning products mostly, and just generally any toxins that might be in the corners of your, under the sinks in your break room or whatever. Think about what are some toxins that might be around and take an inventory of them and make sure that whatever weed control you're doing outside or pest control you're doing inside your facility is using non-toxic products, because in the end, it's really about, it's about the animals and the humans, right? Make sure that you're not using any harsh solvents. And if you've got some on site, make a plan for eliminating those over time. Maybe it's every 6 months. You have, there's one thing that you want to get rid of and try to find a substitute for it. And there's so many green cleaning products out there right now. Green Seal is just one brand. And that's what I have here. And then if there's any part of your processes in your operations that are releasing some sort of chemical into the water supply or into the air, capture it, find a way to capture it. This picture on the right is of a local potter. She's a sculptor, and she makes sure that she captures all of her clay before it goes down the sink, and then she reuses it. So she has a whole recycled clay line, which is kind of cool. Whoops, go back. That's not where I'm going. Let me just move ahead. Just take a breath, everybody. If you have a question, put it in the chat. Oh, there's where I was going. All right, plants. Plants. They are the best biofilters. So put plants in your office, put them in your common room. They make it beautiful, but they also filter the air. They make it cleaner for everybody, your customers, your staff. And if you've got operable windows, use them, open it, use natural ventilation. If you don't have operable windows, put it in your policies. Next time we remodel, we're going to make sure our windows can open so we can get that breeze. That is much better than using an air conditioner, if possible. Now, if you don't know what VOCs are, I'm going to explain. Volatile organic compounds come off of paint, come off of finish. And lots of times when you're remodeling a room inside your building, the contractors will naturally go with the cheapest kind of paint or finish. And that stuff has VOCs. And if you walk into that room right after it gets painted, you will smell them and you will get sick, or you could get sick. So you want to make sure there's low VOCs or zero VOCs in all of your remodeling projects. Make sure your HVAC is regularly maintained. That's a big thing. And make sure the filters are being changed, right? We all know that that's something we're supposed to be doing. And institute a fragrance-free workplace policy. Some people are allergic to perfume. And then let's talk water. So our local water supply is this gorgeous river that used to be incredibly polluted, that is now our tourist attraction. It's called the Animas River, El Rio de las Animas Perdidas, the River of Lost Souls. Why? Where does the water we use come from? It comes from our water supply. Maybe it comes from your aquifer. Maybe it's from a local lake. But once you use it, you eventually put it back in there. Maybe it goes into your sewer system and gets treated. But the less water you use and the less you pollute it, the less it's a problem. So there are easy ways to reduce your water consumption. Put aerators on your sinks. You can go to get a simple aerator for $5 at the hardware store. You can make sure you have a plumber come and check for leaks once a year. Put up signs, put a picture of your local river on the sign and say, please, please don't let the water run if you don't absolutely need it. And then you can make the push and actually change out your appliances to make sure that they're water efficient. The picture here in the middle is actually of a local ice cream parlor called Cream Bean Berry, best lavender ice cream I've ever tried. And she spent a bunch of money to get a new energy and water efficient ice cream maker. And that's our famous ice cream maker right there. Landscaping, you can think about native plants. These are Colorado native plants, but there's native plants to your region. They're the ones that are going to need the least amount of water. And if you're in a drought prone area, that is a big deal. And I used to live in New Orleans, so if you're in a very wet area, I can talk to you about wetland plants too. Make sure that you're not using sprinklers, especially during the day. If you can install drip irrigation, goes into the soil, that's where the plants are looking for it anyway, and the plants are going to reach down into the soil. It's a good thing for the plants. And think about having a rain garden. A rain garden is actually a way to process water on site, takes water off of the roof of your building and allows it to percolate into the groundwater while feeding beautiful native plants. And anyone who wants to know more about that, I can help you with that too. Last one is kind of really about all of the catch-all things that weren't in any of the other categories. But if you've ever heard about LEED certification, that is what our assessment was based on, our Green Business Certification program. LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and it's specifically for buildings. They started with checklists for brand new buildings, but there's also checklists for buildings that are doing upgrades and retrofits. So the checklist, which is over on the left, has all kinds of ideas for how you can make sure that your facility and your building is as energy efficient as possible. But some of those ideas that are on this building right here is actually our transit center. And there's one of the trolleys. I got a picture of a trolley in my presentation. My son loves going on the trolley. And then, so inside, you can think about how can I make our spaces more sustainable. You can make sure they're ergonomically designed. There's your natural ventilation, and that you can stand as well as sit if you're a staff member and you have to be on a computer all day long. You can think about during a remodel installing bicycle friendly amenities. Here's a shower that's kind of a part of an office complex. And so that people feel like they can, look and smell good when they get to work. During a remodel, make sure that all of your demolition material gets recycled. This is a recycling outfit here in Durango that does demolition recycling. And then outside, think about your lighting. So around here, the city of Durango is trying to become dark sky certified. And that means we want to preserve our beautiful night sky. And therefore, businesses, we're asking them to make sure that their outdoor lighting, first of all, gets turned off when they're closed. Second of all, is pointed downwards and is warm in color as opposed to those bright neon lights. And that helps with everybody being able to see the stars, which is our heritage. Now, also think about all the trucks that come and deliver things to your facility. Can you consolidate that shipping either with another business like I talked about earlier, or can you consolidate 5 different orders into one? It's possible if you start thinking about it. And then, like I said before, there's so many funding opportunities. I don't want to get into what I have here because most of mine relates to Colorado and the Four Corners area and specifically. But I would certainly love to help anybody connect with some of the federal funding opportunities, although they're in flux. And easily, I'm sure that there are some local partners that can help you with that as well. And here's my contact information. I'd love to answer any questions from any of you guys. Do we have some stuff in the chat that
we don't yet, but people, since we have a small group, you're welcome to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question, or if you're shy like me, you can put it in the chat. So I just want to let anyone jump in before I jump in with a question.
I've got a quick question.
Hi, Guy. Sure.
Yeah, so I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and I follow Amoeba. It's quite a nice group, and we've tried to do what you were doing, Colleen, and in Ottawa, but we closed it actually, and actually Prasanna was a partner as well in this association called Sustainable Enterprise Alliance to try to, but now you've got this green certification program, right? And you said about 20 people or maybe more. We had a hard time engaging businesses or getting time for them to actually do all these sustainable projects or ways of doing it, which makes sense, and they can save money and so on, but still trying to attract them. So how do you approach businesses to get them?
That is a great question. So, first of all, we have had to, since I came on, we've had to kind of revamp how we market the program, and how we've come up with it is I was finding out that the businesses that were in the program, which were all kind of sustainable businesses anyway, I didn't have to do much to help them go down that road.
Right.
They wanted to be better marketed once they were certified. They were certified at these different levels. And one of the promises that my predecessor gave them is that we would blast out their name and tell the world that they were a green business. Well, so they had that expectation, which I wanted to fulfill.
Yeah.
And then we also needed to market our program. And then I also have this like education mission, right? Because we're a nonprofit. So we combined all 3 of those things. And so all of our marketing really centers around the stories of the businesses that are in the program, so that we tell the strategies that they're employing, which is, like the capturing pollutants, the pottery gal is capturing pollutants, and then Durango Outdoor Exchange, the consignment shop, they're reducing energy and they're helping other people reduce energy. So like their stories and their testimonials are the bulk of our marketing. So we're marketing the businesses at the same time that we're marketing our program. At the same time, we're educating our public about the things they can do in their own office or in their home. So that's kind of how we're doing the biggest bang for our buck, in terms that we hired a marketing guru, and she's my best friend. So that's how we decided to do it. And then we have partners like the city, the local tourism, like city arm. They're like the conference center kind of in a bigger city. And they help market those businesses also because they have it on their website.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a thing because in Ottawa we're about 1 million, but small towns and stuff might be easier to get engagement. Maybe, I don't know. Just but yeah.
My thought is every business owner, and my father's a business owner, so I come at this kind of with his filter.
Yeah. Okay.
Every business owner is thinking about their bottom line.
Yeah.
And any sustainability strategy that they decide to go after is going to cost them money or cost them time. So you have to have planned out how they're going to actually get more customers in the door by doing these strategies. That's how I
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah, well, that's the approach we took, and we still had. We just found that they didn't have. They, even though they knew they would save money and so on, it's just a time thing,
Yeah.
and probably also credibility. To know that I'm not just we're not just talking. We're actually, and also being a nonprofit, all volunteer, which was, I think, the hardest part, even though we did once in a while get grants for students that would help us, but then they would disappear. Sort of. So that's the thing about
Right.
nonprofit issues. So, and so I want to go back to your certification thing. So you actually have a certification program where it's a sort of like a checklist. Is it a bit like the Green Business
Yep.
benchmark thing?
I can show it to you guys.
Sure. If
You want to see it?
with that. Yeah.
I think I've got one up. Hang on, let me see.
So is there a cost
I
to that?
may,
Is there a cost to?
we do have a cost. We do have a cost. We have a certification fee of $350.
Okay.
And but we have a scholarship application. And then the scholarship application is really geared towards businesses that are small, home-based businesses, single owner, one woman show kind of
Yeah.
businesses, but also nonprofits.
Oh, okay. And it's 250 per year or per?
That is for the first year. And then the
Oh,
second, once they renew, it's $200 a year.
oh,
And the
okay.
scholarship renewal depends on how much they paid the first time around. I'm gonna see if I can find one of my checklists. We have over 100 items on the checklist. And oh, there's
This-
one. Okay, let me see if I can share this.
Okay. And we do have another question in the chat. And
Oh, good. Okay. I'll just show you very, very briefly. This is one of our newer businesses, which is Four Corners River Sports. And I don't know if let me see if I can actually, yeah. And these are all of those areas that I just talked about. So there's a lot more than the items. And we have an innovations section, which is like, and they haven't filled out anything here, but if there's anything that the business is doing that is not on the list, they can actually type it in and I can give them percentage points.
gotcha.
Anyway, and I'd be willing to
Okay.
share that with anybody who's
Oh,
interested.
yeah, I would like to,
That'd be great.
yeah.
Okay, just send me an email if you've got my email address and I can put it in the chat too. Was there another question?
Yeah, did you want to go ahead and ask your question, or I can go ahead and read it?
Yeah, sure. I can ask. Hi, I'm
Great.
Brian Juneman with Pacific Northwest Booksellers Association. Thanks for being here, Colleen. My question was, I mean, this is really great stuff. And a couple of years ago, my board worked it into our some of our government's documents that we begin as an association to prioritize the greening of our members. And so I'm always looking for education as a starting point like this for folks to start thinking about that, so we're in fulfillment of those wishes. And I'm wondering if you are if Four-Core is part of a larger trade association or networked somehow with similar operations in other parts of the country, so that I might track somebody down that I could bring in person to put in front of my people at my trade show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I should be. And Jen is the closest that I've come. I've been talking with, and Jen connected me to David Levine, the Sustainable Business Association. Is
Yes,
that right?
pretty close.
And
Yep.
what's the actual name of the organization?
I know. Now I'm like, here, I will find it for you.
ASBN. I know that.
There
I
you
think it
go.
gets
American Sustainable
American
Business
Sustainable
Network.
Business Network.
Thank
So
you.
that's one. I also, I'm on a monthly call with other green business organizations, or organizations that have a green business certification arm, as part of the Colorado Green Business Network. Now, what I don't know is, are there other networks in in the different states? But I think that David from the American Sustainability Network, Sustainable Business Network, would have more of a connection to those folks. And where are you again? Virginia?
No, I'm in the Northwest. So I'm actually located in Eugene, Oregon, but my membership is Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. And we do a trade show. We're in Spokane this year. We often do Portland, but we do a full day of education where we do a mix of having our own people educate each other and bring in outside speakers as well. So
And
this will
when
be
is this? I need to see if my calendar is free.
September 28th through 30th in Spokane this year. You should hit up my colleague who runs the Mountains and Plains Independent Booksellers Association out of Denver. She's got entire mountain states and down into Texas even. And this might be
And does
something.
she have the same mission? Like the
Yes,
same, like,
well, I don't know if they have this particular item in their mission. However, usually when one of us starts something, we share it, and other people follow, and we share our resources and such. So it wouldn't surprise me if, even if they don't formally have anything, this is something where she would be like, wow, we can fill a unique hour-long education session at my trade show. And she's also sometime in September or October in Denver. She does an annual show.
cool. Great.
I love that. Great. Thank you. Ajax or Chuck, you guys have a question you'd like to ask?
I'd like to add, there's two other, B Corp, right? There's B Corp. Anybody ever heard of B Corp certification? It's huge across, everywhere. And they're in Canada anyways, and I thought it was started in the US.
Yep.
As well as
Yep.
Green Business Bureau. They used to be called Green Business Bureau, but they are now called Green Business Baseline or something like that. They have a similar idea of a check mark, but they have this logo you put on your website, and it shows you what you're doing, and they have like tons of check mark of list of things to do. But the thing is that it's more than, I don't know. I can't remember. It used to be around 350, but now I think they're around 1,200 a year. So it's quite a lot.
And this is a certification body that works with businesses across the country or across Canada?
Well, no, it's mostly the U.S. B Corp is worldwide, and Green Business Bureau. I think Amoeba already presented them at one talk, I believe.
That was the Green Business Network.
Network.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I thought they were called Green Business, GBB, Green
They
Business
have
Baseline.
it's Green America is the organization or nonprofit, and then it's our Green Business Network, but I could be wrong about that. Chuck, do you remember? Am I getting it right? I think you were at that call.
I think it's close enough.
Yeah, that's the thing about changing names, but I know they have a checklist and it's quite elaborate and interesting. But I put my email in there, and it'd be nice to see your list as well.
And Guy, I'm writing down your list. I want to say that my father's name is Guy, and I considered naming my son Guy.
Oh yeah.
And so
Well, in French it's Guy.
Right.
So I call myself Guy the guy.
Guy the guy. I love it. That's wonderful. And I also wanted to say, in terms of that checklist, sometimes it scares people off.
Yeah.
But like business owners, they're like, oh, I don't have time for all this. And I say, no, these are just all your choices. Like it's just an information resource for you. And then there's points. If you saw the points on there, like I'm like, you can get as many points as you want. Like you can just do a few things and then you get some points, and at least you're trying. Or you can go for it, and over the next year you accumulate 150 points, and I'll bring you to that level. And we do have a 4-core green certified sticker. I didn't order more stickers because we couldn't find any sustainable stickers, but we definitely have that logo that we send out to all of our certified businesses so they can use it on different things. And there's a coffee roaster called Desert Sun Coffee. They have the logo on their coffee bags, which is really cool. That's just one example.
Cool. Nice.
Chuck, did you have a question? I saw you highlighted in green there.
That was probably an accident, but I would like to make a comment. This is great stuff, and I appreciate it very much. We have two groups in Ohio: the Ohio Sustainable Business Council, which is affiliated with David Levine and the American Sustainable Business Network, and so and that's a good lead that was pointed out earlier to contact and see who's available, who's doing something similar in Colorado or wherever. And then I've been part of a group called Simply Living, which is all about localization. We're one of the few environmental groups that it's local to Columbus area, Columbus, Ohio. Well, because localization itself is very important. We're very closely tied. In fact, the technical person that does the website for the Ohio Sustainable Business Council is also the technical person for Simply Living. And so she put in a plugin for a directory for a WordPress environment, which allows us to actually, we got a grant from the Columbus Foundation to hire a young man who put together the directory, which has I forget how many, maybe 600-800 locally owned businesses. And the nice thing about that is that you can, all the stuff you're talking about, the checklists and all those things are really helpful and useful, and we'll look into them. But the nice thing about the directory is that you can highlight the things that the business wants. Okay, we're a restaurant that uses locally sourced vegetables, etc. And we're a coffee roaster that makes the grains available to farms, or that kind of stuff. So it's pretty easy to do, and I just mentioned that as a possibility to use that kind of plugin if you got a WordPress environment. Makes it easy to create a directory, and then use that as a leverage. We've made it free because we entered them all and worked with all the various groups. We had various sources, including like, people that are already B corporations, minority-owned businesses, et cetera. And so um, then you can say, well, you want to upgrade. We've got this checklist. We're not doing that yet, but I like that concept. You can we have a newsletter that goes out to 2,500 people or so that we like to say, our members are your customers potentially. So they're people that are tuned in to the same kinds of priorities. So then we can charge a fee for an upgrade to get a business card ad in our newsletter, and so different levels of engagement with the locally owned businesses. Anyway, I'm just throwing that out.
Cool. Thanks,
And
Chuck.
I'm finding it's really important to have our partnership with Local First, which is the organization around here, and I know Doug was going to try to be here today. That is an extremely important partnership because we have a lot of overlap of members, and we kind of co-market the members that are part of the Green Business Certification Program, but are also Local First members, and that's really starting to just be beneficial for those members. So, and it's
That's
helpful
great.
to be able to show that when I'm going to talk to new businesses. So
That's great. So that was actually my question is, how do you partner with Local First Durango? Any other things in the mix that you're working on to work more closely with the Business Alliance?
with Local First,
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could do more. But the main thing is that like the initiatives that they have, we're just kind of trying to dovetail in terms of making sure that everyone in our public, our newsletter list, and our supporters know about the stuff that Local First is doing, and they're doing the same thing for us. So it's they're just so closely related, and so many local businesses are already doing a lot of the things that are on my checklist. So I'm kind of approaching the Local First. They're kind of like for my potential next membership, they're actually kind of my low-hanging fruit because they're already, they're part of the choir, so to speak.
Yep, that's for sure. And that's really why we've been looking for other organizations or alliances that are supporting businesses, independent businesses, eventually to become more certified or become more green. Because one, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We know that there are solutions out there, but because this is a new part of Amoeba's mission over the last 3 years, like we always supported it, but it wasn't baked into our mission until right before the pandemic started. That's really why I've been inviting all these different groups to present so that we can understand where everyone is, where are the synergies and how are people doing this differently. So whatever makes sense, maybe we still point people to other networks, or maybe we develop some other added program in the future. It really is up for discussion. So I appreciated everybody's questions because they're all questions, that have to do with kind of Amoeba and what the Alliance would do, what would it offer in the future. So that was great. And just know that I will send you a recording, and I will get materials from Colleen and forward them to y'all. And our next Local Leaders Roundtable is April 30th at 1 p.m. It's on a Friday, and it's actually talking about community investment funds with the National Coalition for Community Capital, MC3. So again, kind of thinking of innovative ways that maybe we could have the funding come from our communities more. This is a little bit different model, but really is maybe there are opportunities so that you could have real estate that is supporting the businesses, green aspects. So Please feel free to register for that. I'll send you an email with the link. And we still have a couple more minutes, but I just wanted to mention those things before people started going off to their next event. Any other
Jen?
questions? Yeah.
Jen, what was the date? I think you accidentally said April. Is that June?
Oh, I did. May 30th.
May.
I'm still in April. Yep, May 30th. Thank you. Well, great. Thank you, Colleen, for being here, and thank you guys for sticking with us to the end. We appreciate you're here and spending some time with us. Everybody have a fantastic rest of their day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.